Greetings everyone, this is SteamTeamRedubUK, CC Trainor-Ling, here to bring you another retro review from past seasons of The Loud House. In today's video, we look at that one special episode from Season 3 where Luna thinks she knows what she wants and what everyone else wants, but does she really want it? Today's episode is titled, Really Loud Music. First we'll discuss the plot, and then my thoughts and critiques with my final score. So, let's get right into it. The episode begins with Luna preparing to submit her song entry to the show, America's Next Hitmaker, but worries her usual style of rock music might not be the kind the whole world loves. When she begins hallucinating that her family are singing their own style of music in an effort to find the right sound for her entry, she settles on writing a pop song after she sees everyone likes dancing to that type of music. Even though she makes it to the finals of the contest, the judges for the show, Doug and Michelle, decide to transform Luna's appearance and name to match the song. Feeling like she's no longer the person she once was, Lulu ditches her new look and returns to her old self as she plays the rock song she always wanted to perform from the beginning, giving up her chance at world fame, but keeping the real Luna loud now and forever. Well, that concludes the plot of the episode, so now we come to my thoughts and critiques. For the longest time, this was the highest point in development of Luna's rock and roll character, and before Season 5 came along, this was as close to getting famous as she was going to get. Not only that, but when it comes to best singing moments of the series, this was and still is Nika Farman's #1 episode, in my opinion. The way she brought the varying emotions to all three of Luna's songs was simply phenomenal. Actually, I'll say everyone's singing was pretty good here. Well, I mean, not everyone was singing, but it was still poetic. Along with the tremendous singing and good music, although I'll have a bit more to say about that later, the story itself was laid out exactly as you would expect. Luna was worried her passion for rock music was not going to be something everyone in the world would like, and she was not wrong for thinking that. As she saw during her hallucinations, everyone in her family had their own style of music, and that's just the way it is. If anyone else in Luna's family wanted to be in that contest, they'd most likely submit an entry based on their preferred style. However, there's always that one song everyone thinks is catchy, and even though it's not the genre they relate to the most, it doesn't mean they won't dance to it. Music has a powerful way of bringing many different people together and making everyone feel good. Who's to say Luna's initial rock song couldn't do the same thing? She wanted to follow her heart in the beginning, but I understood why she felt she needed to change her style if it meant achieving world fame in the music business, something she's been wanting since the first season. Even her Mick Swagger poster said she had to do what she had to do because of how competitive the business can be. Unfortunately, doing what she had to do meant giving into corporate interests. So now we come to Doug and Michelle. When it comes to the kind of antagonist who can get someone to bend to their whim for fame and fortune, these two played their roles very well, and Luna played right into their changes. They turned Luna into, I want to say an Ariana Grande knockoff, but that might be a bit of a stretch. She wanted to play the game, and she sold herself out for the fame. From having a fake guitar to a fake name, and not even being able to sing on her own, Luna Loud was no longer the real Luna Loud, and she and her family knew this was a problem. It took a lot of courage for her to go out on national TV and throw away what seemed like her only chance to make it as a famous musician, and being able to perform as herself was the only true win she needed. Of course, as much as I want to say this episode is perfect, I, in good faith, cannot. So now we come to my critiques. Even though I liked all the different songs from the characters, most of them really padded out the first half of the story, and it resulted in the second half being rushed in order to get to the resolution. In other words, the episode crammed too much into a runtime of about 20 minutes, and it didn't seem like there was enough time to tell a more effective story. Luna never gets the chance to experience what would happen if she performed as Lulu, maybe won the contest, and then had to continue as her new world-famous persona going forward. Yeah, I mean, you could make the case on how Luna singing What Have I Done was her way of quickly figuring out she was effectively giving up her rock and roll ambitions and was going to be remembered as a lip-syncing pop star before she even went out on stage. However, it would have been better character-wise to have a lengthier build-up to that song and see if she'd permanently changed her tune, so to speak, if the crowd reacted positively to her stage performance. Again, I understand the lesson being conveyed on how having all that fame is not worth giving up who you really are, but but that's why I believe this episode could have worked better as a 1 hour long special. I mentioned this in my review of Band Together, and seeing how both episodes involve Luna wanting to be famous, there was a lot of potential in Really Loud Music to become the greatest Luna episode in terms of musical character development. If this episode and Band Together were combined as one, well, I think you can see where I'm going with this. Just add a few more scenes and characters, specifically Luna's bandmates, throw in an ultimatum of having to choose between the Moon Goats and a solo career, and so on and so forth, and you can see why both episodes are either too short or not long enough. To put it simply, Really Loud Music had the right idea and knew what it wanted to do, but the limited amount of time they had to do it prevented the story and Luna from reaching their full potential. I always consider the idea of not making this episode longer the biggest opportunity the series missed out on. My only other critique would be how Chris Savino promoted this episode as a rock opera, but this is nothing like an opera, let alone one based on rock music. Once again, I don't hate any of the songs in this episode because each of them is good in their own respect, but to credit this episode as an opera is very inaccurate. For this to be an opera, all the dialogue would have to have been sung by any one of the characters. However, there are several scenes where the characters are talking normally, thus defeating the idea of calling this a rock opera. I guess if you wanted to call this a rock musical, that'd be more believable, but even that wouldn't be entirely accurate either. For this episode to be a musical, all the songs would have to have been used to advance the story or the development of the characters, and to be sung by the characters too. Only certain songs accomplish that. Play It Loud, What Everybody Wants, Changing Luna, and What Have I Done? The rest of the songs from the Loud family, including Best Thing Ever, don't check all the boxes for legitimate musical numbers. You could say these songs did help to advance the story, since they added to Luna's indecisiveness and inner resolution in the first act, but the lyrics had more to do with each of the characters' personalities than anything else. Seriously, what does a toilet jam and clown parade have anything to do with the story at hand? Visually, these musical moments are enjoyable, some being very much out there, but as for their contribution to telling the story, not so much. Overall, this episode is among the greatest of both Season 3 and the entire series. It was one of Luna's biggest moments of growth as an up-and-coming musician, and she learned to be true to herself instead of trying to impress others by being someone she's not. All the songs were great, the singing was top-notch, and just about everything was good from start to finish. I do have my complaints about the story having so much it wanted to do and having very little time to do it, and that it's anything but an opera or musical, but the plot in and of itself was just the kind of story Luna needed after all this time, and it truly is a fan favorite. Well, at least to me. With that said, I give Really Loud Music a 9.6 out of 10. Well folks, that concludes my review of Really Loud Music. As I said, this episode could have been combined with Band Together to make for an even better and more interesting story, but it's a shame we couldn't get that in Season 3 or 5. But hey, what we got was still amazing, and that's a song we can all dance to. So what did you guys think of it? Love it? Hate it? Something you would add? Change? Keep it as it is? Let me know in the comments below, and make sure to subscribe to this channel for the latest Loud House content. That's going to do it for me. I'll catch you guys for the next video, but until then, this is SteamTeamRedubUK, CC Trainor-Ling, signing off. Peace out, home slices.